Hello and good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Bhante, and good morning, everyone, and welcome to our final day, day 14 of our 14-day Buddhist practice. Bhante, would you lead us off on the Five Remembrances, please?
All right, Alan. So I'm going to be hitting the bell. You're going to hear the sound, and then I'll just uh, recite the five remembrances. Let's go ahead and begin. I am subject to aging. There is no way to avoid aging. I am subject to ill health. There is no way to avoid illness. I am going to die. There is no way to avoid death. Everyone and everything that I love will change. There is no way to escape being separated from them. My only true possessions are my actions. I cannot escape their consequences. All right, Alan, go ahead.
Hey, thank you. So, as I mentioned, this is our final day. It's been great with everybody joining us, whether live or on YouTube. I know it's early for a lot of people, so a lot of people watch us on YouTube as well. But today we're talking about impermanence. So this is our very last topic of our 14-day practice, and it's a very important one. So let me start off with the scripture reading. When death comes, neither parents, children, nor kin can protect one. And that's from the Dhammapada. So why is this at the end of our practice and what is this about? So impermanence is a very central and key concept and teaching inside Buddhism. It's part of the three marks of existence. Oh, I can't say it. Three marks of existence, along with dukkha and non-self. And it's there because when we fully understand these and able to transform them, this is where we have nirvana or nibbana, where we actually able to live as we truly should live in our natural state. So far as how this practice and planner was set up for the COVID-19 pandemic, it was traditionally, at least at the beginning of the pandemic, 14 days was the end of the traditional quarantine period. So it was showing the impermanence of quarantine, possibly of being sick. Of course, some people went longer being sick, but it is showing that everything is impermanent, including sickness, including things like quarantines or stay-at-home orders, or just everything in general. And so part of this practice, yes, is related to the pandemic, but it's also related to everything in Buddhism that we learn about. That all conditioned things are impermanent. The virus is impermanent. We are impermanent. Our world is impermanent. Our thoughts, feelings, all these conditioned things that, arise and fall are impermanent. However, as sentient beings, we're not okay with a lot of things that are impermanent, and we, cling and crave to things to, you know, have some semblance of, permanence, and that causes a lot of, delusion in our lives and a lot of suffering in our lives. So the practice that we're doing, with the five remembrances are really us confronting our fears, really of impermanence. And then we're having a noble eightfold path to help us walk through the correct way to really ending these three marks of existence, including, the belief in permanence when there's actually impermanence. And then we're doing, meditation, and Bante, you did a great one a couple of days ago with, almost like a body scan, and that's showing us the, impermanence, of our body as well too. So starting this practice, with us is 14 days was fantastic because, you're starting something new. But what's really interesting, like for all of you that started with us, you're not the same person that started with us, on this practice. And the person who started, who was with us yesterday, you're not the same person today. So we're always constantly changing. Everything's in a state of flux. That's impermanence, right? And so there are things that are permanent though. So there are conditioned things and there are non-conditioned things. So for example, nirvana or nirvana, it's not a conditioned thing. It's there. That's a natural state. So we have, different, topics and, teachings as it relates to impermanence. And we want things such as nirvana or nibbana. It's just how it is. That's exactly what we want. So far as, today, again, this is, your last day with us, but it's not the end. So impermanence should not be looked at as a negative or a bad thing. Essentially with impermanence, all things happen. We can grow up from babies, to adults. We're able to experience different things. And sometimes we look at impermanence as a negative thing. Maybe it's a bad experience that happened to us, or something to that effect. But impermanence allows us to grow, allows us to experience different things. You are here due to impermanence as well too in our practice. But we're ending today, but it doesn't mean that your Buddhist practice needs to end today. We'll talk more about that after meditation. But impermanence is great. This is, we truly understand impermanence. I'm still in my practice still learning about impermanence. It's beyond just, a intellectual level that we are to learn about, impermanence. Is actually truly understanding it. And that may take me my entire lifetime or more. It's a very deep teaching and concept, but it's something that we should all, of course, understand and learn. And I think this pandemic just really brought impermanence very much to the forefront for a lot of us. So do not fear, impermanence. Do not fear our practice ending. This is actually a conditioned thing as well too, but it doesn't mean that it's a negative thing or that it has to end. And we'll talk more about that later. Bhante, can you give us some teachings or some of your insight into impermanence as well?
Thank you, Alan. So when we think about impermanence, we think about examples like I gave yesterday about growing old, getting sick, dying. Maybe we think about losing people, or, governments changing, the world changing, the seasons changing. But if we really want to penetrate what the Buddha is telling us, we have to realize impermanence in every experience, the momentariness of everything. There's where we find the freedom from suffering, the impermanence of seeing, tasting, smelling, touching, thinking. These experiences, these sensorial experiences, these things that we consider me, myself, and I, these things are always in flux, always changing, empty of anything that lasts. What we see is constantly changing, a dynamic process. What we hear, what we smell, what we taste, what we touch, our feelings, our thoughts, everything is so ephemeral, like the little flame of a candle, right? Empty of any true essence. Just one condition leading to another condition. This is really the true meaning of impermanence. We start off by pointing out the grosser levels of impermanence, because that'll lead us towards dispassion and letting go of greed and hatred. But in order to break the delusion, we have to understand that in this fathom-long body, there is nothing that lasts. In this experience, there is no one thing that remains the same, continuous, from the beginning to the end, even from one moment to the other. Here's where we get into the teachings of emptiness. Emptiness means empty of substance, enduring substance of an absolute self that carries from one moment to the next. So when we think about impermanence, we have to really look and see, what is it that I call me, myself, and I? What is it that becomes offended? What is it that wants? What is it that becomes sad? What is it that craves? When seeing, what is it that sees? When smelling, what is it that smells? And when you investigate your entire experience, you will not be able to find anything that you can grasp to. And once you don't see there's anything to grasp, that provides you that freedom. It breaks that habit from grasping. So we have to be able to really bring impermanence into every moment. Not only, oh yes, I understand that I'll get sick, I'll get old, I'm gonna lose a thing. Every moment, this moment, that's it. This experience, that's it. So when we're put into this kind of situation, when we understand that there only is this experience, we can't, the past is something that already happened, and the future is only a hallucination or a dream. There's only this present moment. Then we are faced with a new dilemma, which is a good one. What am I going to do now? The most important thing in the world is what you're doing right now. So what are you going to do now? You have two options. Cultivate the wholesome, do what is skillful, or do what is unskillful, right? Do those things which do not lead to suffering, do not cause suffering for yourself and others, and that guide you towards nibbana, the ultimate release, the ultimate freedom from grasping to me, myself, I, and all these egocentric, self-centered ideas that are caused because we think that seeing is permanent, smelling is permanent, tasting is permanent, emotions are permanent, memories are permanent, thoughts are permanent, but they're not. So now I'd like to share a simile with you uh, that the Buddha taught. So during the time of the Buddha, he went to a king and he said, King, imagine this scenario. Imagine you sent out 4 messengers in each direction. And after some time, they came back. And the first messenger coming from the north would say, Your Majesty, while I was exploring in the north, I saw a huge mountain, higher than any other mountain, covering everything, coming this way, destroying all life, all the trees, everything in its way. There was a huge massacre and carnage. Please do what you see fit. Then another messenger would come from the west, another one from the south, another one from the east, and all of them would report, Your Majesty, in my travels, I saw a huge mountain that was crushing all life, crushing all things, as high as possible that no one can escape. A great, great, great loss of life uh, in front of this mountain, heading in our direction. Do what you think you see fit. Then the Buddha asked the king, so what if you were in this situation where you were surrounded by all sides by an impending doom, a great tragedy, a great death? What would you do, Your Majesty? The king said, when surrounded by death on all sides, what option do I have but to practice Dharma? What else is there but to do what is right? Then the Buddha goes, excellent, very good answer, Your Majesty. You answered correctly. You know these mountains? It's the mountain of sickness, the mountain of old age, the mountain of losing those things that you love, and the mountain of death. These are the 4 directions. So you're actually living it. You are surrounded on all sides at every moment by death because no moment is secure. There's no guarantee that the next second you'll be alive. So what do we do when we recognize the momentariness, the ephemeralness of our lives? We should do what's right because we don't know if we're going to have a chance in the future to do what's right or to practice. So this I find it very powerful because it takes us away from, I'll start tomorrow or next week, or you know what, New Year's is coming up a couple of weeks from now. I'll start practicing in New Year's. No. So many people right now are dying from COVID. There's no guarantee that we won't be one of those persons that's also going to die. Maybe if not us, maybe one of our family members in our own household is going to pass away too. Knowing this, how would you want to live those last days, right? That you may not see your family again because either you or they are going to pass away. Oh, then you would go around telling them all the things that you wanted to always tell them. You'd be so nice to them. You would treat them so nice. You'd want to do all the things that you never did. We should live according to this perspective. This is how you live if you understand impermanence. There's another simile where they asked the Buddha asked the monks, how do you practice breathing meditation? Because breathing meditation is an entrance into impermanence. One of them goes, oh, I practice breathing meditation from the moment that I go to alms and I come back. The Buddha goes, no, that's not good. The other one goes, oh, I practice breathing meditation from the moment I get my food and I'm eating it till when I finish. The Buddha says, oh, that's not good. Oh, I practice breathing meditation from the moment I eat to the moment I start chewing my food. And the Buddha goes, oh, that's not good. The other monk goes, oh, I practice this meditation uh, while I'm chewing only. Every time I just chew, I'm chewing. The Buddha goes, oh, that's a little better, but not quite it. Then the last monk goes, every single breath, on the in breath or on the out breath, I practice this breathing meditation, sati, awareness, or awareness of impermanence. The Buddha goes, yes, that is correct. That is the proper way you should practice this meditation. Every single part of the breath, whether in or out. So we see the Buddha also put a lot of emphasis on each moment of experience, the subtlest moment. This is how we should reflect on impermanence. This is how we should practice our meditation. No longer than that, because no moment is secure. At any moment, this body, this world can come to an end. All right, so I think we can finish off with the meditation, and then we'll, as Alan said, we'll provide some resources and tell you what you can do from here on in. So I'm gonna hit the bell, and we can practice breathing meditation. Just be aware when you breathe in, be aware when you breathe out. Be aware of the breath, and also be aware of the effects that the breath has on the body. And notice how the entire body, how this entire organism is impacted by the breath. And we'll just leave it at that step for today. So I'm going to ring the bell, and we can practice breathing meditation. So now that your mind is calm, body is relaxed, you can bless yourself with your calm mind. By the power of this wholesome action, may you be free from immature company, and may you have good companions until you attain Nibbana. Okay, Alan, so you wanted to share some ideas, right, about what they can do now.
Yeah, actually, before that, I'd just like to, go back to permanence real quick. I really enjoyed how you talked about, the present moment and the past and future. All we really have is just this present moment, and that's where we find, true peace and true happiness. That's what this is all about. And as you mentioned, like with the past and the future, when you start craving and clinging towards that, you're not living in the present moment, and that's where we're getting our suffering from. We just got to focus on the present moment, because conditioned things are impermanent. Just like this practice, and it's been great, the past 14 days, having this practice with you, and then having everybody join us, whether live or via YouTube from all over. But it doesn't have to end here. So we have in the free planner, in the back there's a bunch of different links to calendars and to different websites and Zoom meetings, and I mean, you name it. So the overarching kind of like theme I want to kind of leave everybody with is, don't stop. This doesn't have to be impermanent, for do a little pun on this here. You should really continue, as Bhante said, continue your practice. Nothing is guaranteed in our life except for this present moment, which will include your practice as well. So we got a bunch of different links there, and of course that's all subject to change as well too. Some groups may or may not still be continuing, but there's links to calendars. The big thing is, you don't have to do this alone. You should really find good dharma friends. If you have a group nearby that's doing it on Zoom, fantastic. And right now, as we're currently recording this session, most of the temples and groups are not open because of the lockdown orders, because of COVID and stuff like that. But we do have online sessions, and quite a few of them. And even if they're not nearby you can usually connect with another group elsewhere or temple. Um, Now, as far as if you're new to Buddhism and you're like, well, I'm not even sure like what tradition I'm in, my recommendation is, it doesn't matter, as long as it's a proper lineage back to the Buddha, a proper Buddhist group. That's fine. That's fine. It doesn't matter if it's Theravada or Mahayana. It doesn't matter. You're going to get the correct teachings of the Buddha, and that's what's really important. It's just different ways of practicing it. So as long as you can do that, I think it's really important. This planner is your guide, and the recorded versions of this practice is your guide as well too. You can come back, even though we're not going to be live anymore. You can come back and start to practice over again. The whole part of this whole concept of 14 days, was kind of geared around COVID, but it's bringing you through in a nice gradual process, through the Noble Eightfold Path, which is core to the Buddhist teachings. And it's taken us through all these concepts up to where we're getting today with impermanence, to help you break free from wrong ideas and thoughts and actions and things like that, so we can truly exist in our world, and eventually reach nibbana and nirvana. And so, Bhante, can you give us some feedback as well too? And I'd like to kind of, before I hand it over to you, if you can do it to an actual group that has monastics, that's even better. They need our support now more than ever. Because there's not a lot of in-person temples where maybe donations are given like that. But monastics are very important to Buddhism. I always kind of give the correlation or the example where the Buddha is like the physician or the doctor. Temples are like the hospitals, and monastics are like the nurses or assistants to the Buddha. It's part of this entire process in our religion, where monastics are very important, and they're the ones who can properly give us the teachings and help us along the path.
Okay, Alan. So, during the time of the Buddha, his chief attendant and cousin Ananda asked the Buddha, Bante, it appears to me that half of this spiritual life consists of having good friends or spiritual friends, kalyanamitas. To which the Buddha replied, do not say that, Ananda, do not say that. The spiritual life is impossible without kalyanamitas, good friends. The spiritual life depends 100%, consists 100% of having spiritual friends. It is not possible to practice the Dhamma without spiritual friends or good friends. The Buddha gave such emphasis on the importance of a sangha and a community of people that are heading in the same direction. So important. In order to practice, not even Buddhism, just even a meditation practice, it's important to be surrounded by other people who also want to meditate, who are kind of working towards the same goal, so you can get feedback, so you can get support, emotional support, psychological support. And just knowing that there's other people out there practicing with you is also you get some comfort from that. So I invite you, like Alan did, to find a group, join a group. Most of the temples that I'm aware of, they have some sort of online program going on nowadays. So as Alan said, also try to find, a sangha that has monastics that's been around, that has a connection to legitimate ties, either like um, Tibetan or Zen or Pure Land from either Vietnam or China, Korea, Japan. Try to find a place where you feel safe and you can kind of trust the curriculum and the people that are there. And these places, actually, the traditional Asian uh, centers are really, tight knit group. So if you really kind of want that communal support, like feel like a family, any traditional Asian Buddhist group, you'll get that. You'll get that family feeling where you can call someone and say, you know what, like my car broke down. That's also part of Dharma practice, helping others, right? And being able to ask for help. So I really encourage you to there's a whole list here in the planner of both Theravada, Mahayana, and Vajrayana places that you can go to find the Sangha and become part of the community. And, try to make it like your family, even though you're online. It's so, so important. So important. As I give you the example, the Buddha said 100%, right? It consists 100% of Kalyanamitas, good friends. This path is not possible. And I believe the same thing with anything, meditation, or if you're studying to become a doctor, or if you want to, become a bodybuilder, or you want to learn how to sing, you need to surround yourself with people who are trying to achieve the same goal. I don't think it's a unique knowledge that the Buddha had. Anyone who, has some intelligence can figure this out. So just kind of follow this and really try to find a place and make it constant. At least once a week, try to do something involved with this organization, or send them an email or reach out to them or do something to let them know, hey, I'm serious about this. I really want to be part of this group. And once they realize this, you'll see how inviting and warm they are and how they'll reach out to you. So that's just kind of my suggestions that I have from where to go from here as we finish this 14-day planner.
And you guys can also, as you're kind of navigating this as well, if you have any, questions or, even feedback about this practice we had right now, you can leave a comment on the YouTube, post that's going to go up. You can also, reach me and Bonte, through social media. So like, we're not going anywhere either, at least right this moment, but it's absolutely finding, a tradition, a temple, around you is really important. And eventually this pandemic will end. It'll end, and then you can actually go back to the actual, brick and mortar, if you will, temple or group. That'll come back, of course, eventually.
Okay, everyone. So it's so nice to see and to have you here with us today and for the last 14 days. And until next time, may you be well, happy, comfortable, and peaceful. Bye bye.
Bye bye.